All right, I'm gonna have to press X for doubt on this one, right? Because here's what it stands right now. Reporting Trump pushes Speaker Johnson to raise taxes on the wealthy.
Meanwhile,
I don't know how true this will be.
on Capitol Hill, President Trump is pressing House Speaker Mike Johnson to raise taxes on some of America's wealthiest. Yeah, you heard that right. Republicans say Trump's proposal would revert the top rate of 37% back to 39.6% for those making $2.5 million or more annually. Trump also wants to close a loophole that would treat carried interest as regular income. Administration officials have kicked around this idea of raising taxes on millionaires for the past few months, and it's been to the alarm of some Republicans who generally like tax cuts, especially on those top earners. But the proposal comes as Republican lawmakers are working to craft their budget bill, which has already been a complicated process as they mull slashing Medicaid funding to find enough savings to boost funding for things like defense spending, immigration enforcement, and, of course, raising the debt limit. We're going to get to all of this with Matthew Bartlett, who was a former U.S. State Department appointee during Trump's first term, also a Republican strategist. So, Matt, first, your reaction there to the idea that now we're talking about a Republican president who tax cuts was a seminal achievement of his in his first term, now coming back to Republicans on the Hill and saying, do me a favor, let that top rate float back up.
Yeah, wow. Trump is a rare bird. Yeah. And you said Republican president. Let's be clear. This is a MAGA president. Yeah. And never before have I seen, the split between Republicans and the GOP and MAGA. Yesterday, when this came out, Melanie Zanona, amazing reporting on this.
One of our colleagues.
Again, saw the MAGA base loving it, and saw traditional Republicans who maybe came down here, men and women, senators and congressmen, not too happy about having to potentially raise taxes to pay for a lot of these pay-fors in the tax bill. So again, exposing some of the schism that might be going on in the party.
Definitely a schism in the party, but they're now about to go into this period of haggling over all the fine details of what does it look like to do reconciliation. I mean, where do you think the other potential schism points are? Because we've not had an opportunity to.
All right, Matt, just real quick. There's only 58 seconds left in this video, but all right. Trump wanted to raise the taxes on the rich. Your thoughts?
This is a great PR move, man. This is whoever got him to do this. This is genius. It's going to make these media heads scramble. They're already scrambling to say Republicans have a problem with this. It's like, hello, Democrats have a problem with this. They'll leave that part out. But no, it's pretty fascinating. I'm going to assume there's some more to the story as far as the loopholes that he's already probably already laid out in private. How to get around this. This is a PR steer. It might clamp down a lot of millionaires that should be paying a little more. That's absolutely. If this happens, this is a good thing. But I do suspect there's some loopholes already in place. So the top people the billionaires, they'll be fine. They're not going to, they already got their offshore stuff. They already got everything worked out. So they're not going to be touched with this at all. But again, this is great PR. Give a raise to the PR manager. And I'm going to love to see all the squirming on all the mainstream outlets trying to pretend that it's Republicans that are outraged. It's like the Democrats are outraged. They're all outraged by this, but they're going to leave that part out, of course.
Absolutely. So let me go ahead and play this right here. Let me pull this up here.
President Trump says he does not support a tax hike on the wealthy, but he would be okay with it if it's necessary to pass his big, beautiful bill. Chad Pergram on.
So in other words, big, beautiful bill. And you know what that means? A tax hike with loopholes. Fox News talking about it. There it is.
Capitol Hill. Chad, is the Republican Party now the party of tax the rich?
Well, Stuart, most Republicans would oppose that, but they need revenue to pay for the tax bill. Republicans pledged they would not raise taxes. House Speaker Mike Johnson is now shrinking the bill. Spending cuts will only be $1.5 trillion, not $2 trillion. And tax cuts are at $4 trillion, not $4.5 trillion. Conservatives oppose the direction this is going. Now, other tax policies could hinder the bill. GOP New York members rejected an offer of a $30,000 deduction for state and local taxes known as SALT. Some conservatives don't want any SALT deduction for high tax states.
They need to fix their own dadgum problems in their own state and quit asking the people of places like Tennessee and Florida and other well-managed states to supplement their income.
House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries opposes the bill, even though the SALT deduction helps people in New York. I mean, how do you Explain your opposition to the rest of the bill, even if there's benefit in that portion of the bill.
They crashed the car and want to pretend now that they're on a rescue operation. Give me a break. If there is nothing...
Give me a break off that Kit Kat part. Okay, so yeah, no, this does look like a way for them to try and mitigate damage, because we all know, especially during the last 4 years of the Biden-Harris administration, the economy was going to crap and everyone was suffering because of it. Matt, your thoughts?
Again, this is good timing. Whoever came up with this, they're going to have to spin this on Fox Business. But they're saying it. They're saying the whole thing. They're giving us of course, there's going to be loopholes. That's what we're seeing. So let's see how far this goes. I'm looking forward to seeing all the spinning on this, because again, the Democrats are going to be just as angry about this, if not more, because they love running on this stuff. So it must be infuriating to say that you didn't get that done. You had a chance. You had you had an opportunity to do tax cuts on the rich. They never do. So this is bad. This is a bad look for the Democrats. But let's see how far Trump goes with this. But of course there's loopholes. There's always loopholes.
Yeah, of course. Exactly, indeed. Let's play the rest of this.
Done. With respect to the state and local tax deduction cap, by the end of the year, you know what happens? It goes away.
It's about the math in more ways than one. Republicans need the votes of both conservatives and moderates to pass the bill, and the GOP needs revenue to cover the cost of tax cuts. That's why there's a trial balloon about raising taxes on the super rich. Stuart?
Got it. Chad, thank you very much. Now let's bring in Congressman Darrell Issa, Republican from the great state of California. Congressman, would you support a tax hike on wealthy people if it finances tax cuts on tips, overtime, and Social Security?
Well, Stuart, thanks for having me on, and thanks for having Chad on to say it's a trial balloon, and that balloon just busted. No, we are not going to do tax increases. In the last tax bill, the one part that I didn't approve of was an increase on some people by elimination of SALT, well, a deduction on others. If we're going to change the status quo of taxing while lowering spending, we have to do so in a way that's fair and that goes back to basic Reaganomics, which is fairer, flatter.
Matt, go ahead. Reaganomics. Matt, take it away.
We got to get back to trickle down, Kit. We got to get back to trickle down. Protect
trickle down, but that's a trickle down you don't want. Take it away, Matt.
Yeah, no, you got to protect the CEOs, protect the shareholders, protect the guys at the top that they will do the right thing. They're not going to buy the 5th or 6th yacht. We know that, yeah, of course, Reaganomics trickle down. But look, the fact that he's saying, no, we don't want to do this. You know why? Because this reeks of socialism. Oh, no, everybody doing their parts, paying their fair share. We don't want to give any breaks to the working class, people struggling every day, every month to pay their rent, and no, we don't want to do any of these things. So no, I like that this discussion is being had. Guys like this, I mean, he just comes across as a total douchebag, and I do believe there's some truth to the fact that the MAGA movement, that there are, yes, the MAGAs want this to happen. That's why they showed. By the way, that's why MAGA showed up and rallied for Trump in 2020. Most of the people, if your viewers don't know this or need to be reminded this, Kit, the people that showed up to January 6th, most of them, more than half of them, were people dealing with financial problems, with bankruptcies, with maxed out credit cards. These are the people that the MAGA movement is about. So of course, yeah, a guy like this, just exposing himself, we have to get back to Reaganomics. Really shows what a ridiculous a conversation that is, and he's definitely on the wrong side of this. Again, let's see how this pans out. But excellent move for Trump to even get this conversation started. But let's see how far it goes.
Yeah, hang on. Reaganomics, folks. Reaganomics.
When Ronald Reagan left office, we had 2 brackets basically, and 28% was the top. Getting as close back to that as we can, so that people feel the system is fair and that everyone pays their fair share. That's the goal I came to Congress with, and that's the one that I'm going to support.
Well, Speaker Johnson now supports, he wants just $1.5 trillion worth of spending cuts. It was $4.5 trillion originally. Is $1.5 trillion worth of cuts enough to finance all the tax cuts on overtime, tips, and Social Security?
Well, Stuart, cuts in spending are elimination of waste, fraud, abuse that have been going on for a very long time. The closing of programs that did nothing but spend sure tax dollars. If in fact we can also give relief to the American people, that's what we do with the money. But let's also remember that no question at all, we cannot continue to build up the debt at the rate that we were building it up. So we have to figure out how we spend less and stimulate the economy and or tax less. And that's what we came to do. We want to have the vibrant economy that we've seen in the past, including during Trump's first term, certainly during the Reagan period after his fairer, flatter taxes went into effect. That's how we're going to be competitive with the rest of the world. Anything else is not a down payment for our children on an economy where they win, quite frankly, over the rest of the world.
Okay, there you go. All right. There you have it. There you have it. All right.
I want to point out one more
ahead.
quick hit on this, that this is going to really, really hurt Bernie and AOC in their fight the oligarchy, because we know fight the oligarchy is about stopping Trump. But how does that's going to mess up AOC's wardrobe, because she's got the tax the rich outfit she can't wear anymore, because we're supposed to be fighting the oligarchy, and Trump's the oligarchy who wants to tax the rich. So I think they're a little confused right now on how they're going to, I feel bad for them on their marketing on that fight the oligarchy. It's not going to work with that dress.
Do you really feel bad for them? Because I don't. I mean,
I'm being facetious.
Yes, exactly. I think we're all just looking at the squad and AOC and the Democrats and everything that's happened. But there you go. I find it fascinating that here we have Trump talking about, what's happening with talking about raising the taxes on the rich. Yeah. I mean, did he decide to read up on everything that was happening with the fact that there's economic disparity and that there's also people are struggling to make ends meet? And because look, his tax cuts in 2017 have caused a huge amount of damage, and the top 1% have been getting away with it. But I know you want to add a little bit more, so I want to give the floor to you, Matt.
Well, no, he's got to pay for the $1 trillion war spending, and that's so. Again, I think he should get AOC and Bernie on the stage with it. All three of them should be together in tax the rich outfits, hashtag tax the rich, so that they can afford more money for Ukraine weapons, afford more genocide, afford the Greater Israel Project, which they're all agree on. So I think it's great let's make a real alignment of all these people with the same messaging that Trump is now apparently on board with, the tax the rich. So let's get them all together on one stage. That'd be awesome.
Right. Exactly indeed. So Trump taxing the rich. Bernie, AOC, your thoughts?